Another bright and beautiful day in paradise. And speaking of bright, I need to learn how to fucking color. Oh crap, what's the word? Oh, I was just thinking this in my fucking mind. Well, what I was about to say is I got to learn how to use S-Log3, if that means anything to you. But if you're more inclined to get some lifting related chatting, then let's get into it. So, plan for chest today, as normal. As normal. Heavy pressing combined with maybe some more concentric kind of squeezing pressing, and then fly base movements, usually in that order, though sometimes I change it around. And that formula kind of just adds up to a fucking nasty chest pump every time. I Now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably try to change up my chest days a little bit more. So maybe I'll who knows, maybe I'll do something a little different, get kind of froggy today. But it's kind of a way that's worked so far. But considering the amount of tricep gains I've gotten so far, or at least as of late, given that I've kind of adjusted the training and combined that adjusted training with a very very reasonable calorie surplus, yeah, of course you can see some tricep growth. So maybe I'll add something fancy in here today. But in the context of, should you do incline barbell or incline dumbbell, or should you do Smith machine only, or should you only do machine press and you're a complete fool for using free weights? What do I think? What do I think? And this is not a groundbreaking statement here, but it's kind of whatever. Half of it's going to be whatever you even have access to. I mean, this gym does not have dumbbells heavy enough for me to do like really good working sets. At least not when I'm fresh in the beginning of the workout. Maybe later on, the 110s will be enough for a regular set. Yeah, at the end of a workout. But typically, I wouldn't really want it. I mean, at least I haven't so far. But if I'm thinking about the reasoning, I probably wouldn't want to finish a chest day with dumbbell bench, just because I'm gonna be so fatigued that'd be kind of wobbly. So my chest days usually look like some kind of heavy incline pressing, and then I lean towards more machines, half just for the reason of having more stability during those pressing movements, so I can really just focus on my chest. I've had a couple of chest days where I did like one set of incline or two sets of incline Smith, two sets of hammer strength press, two sets of like pec deck, and then I wanted to. Oh, goodness, still waiting for the caffeine to hit me. But and then I wanted to move on and do a couple of sets of incline barbell bench, just for whatever reason, change it up. And my shoulders, my triceps, and everything else, not that they were completely demolished like my chest was, but my whole kind of stability system had been so fatigued it was like I could barely even do solid ass reps. And if I were to lighten the weight, do like a plate and a half or something, I just feel like it wouldn't be enough weight to really be able to squeeze and get at least a kind of marginally heavy stretch in my chest. So it's always kind of a balancing act of using enough weight where you get reasonable activation, but not so much that you start working every other muscle group. So I think that's a good little baseline of how this workout's going to go. So let's stop talking about it and just make it happen. Let's not get too carried away weight-wise and see just how many reps we get with 315. And when I say see how many reps, this is not let's just say the goal of this set is not to get a million. It's just to totally thrash my chest. So if I'm capable of getting 20 with reasonable tempo, squeezing everything else, that's what I want to get. And in my mind, if I stop anywhere short of that, it's not like I'm going to say, oh, I'm a piece of shit, how can I do it? It's like, it's simply less ideal. It's going to be a less than ideal set if you don't seriously push it. That's kind of where my mentality is at. But let's get real here. I had to start using my front delts for that last rep. But I gotta be careful. I took my feet out from underneath me. I started slipping. This bench does not scoop up against my booty as much as I would like. Something to keep in mind. I'm not joking. Like, that could be a guillotine situation if I go from here to like something like that. One more. Actually, no. However many more is necessary. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh my goodness. That was really good. Let's do one more. Slightly faster. Not much, but just a touch. Oh my god, bitch. All right. Let's move on. That's enough of that. Holy crap. Trying to focus on holding the stretch for that second portion, which should be kind of obvious, but gotta change the shit up, goddammit. Lighter, semi-decline, kind of more like just front of the body flies. I mean, I feel it in my whole chest. And I'm gonna make this a little bit of a tempo rep. I barely ever do it for chest. I don't know why. So instead of just a regular set, I'm gonna go halfway, second portion, and kind of pause in between. It just lets you get an extra like contraction kind of feeling instead of just riding the weight for the whole rep. Now let me pick a good song and throw this stuff around. There we go. Okay. Okay. One more like that. Exactly the same. Yeah. 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 Okay. Let's move on to something else. I think a superset is in order. So portion A, handles yay high, yay wide. Kind of just going to bend over, do more of a cable press. You know, get a certain amount of fatigue where I feel like it's enough, then smack these arms as wide as they go, and then do some full flies. Cool. Wait, see fucking light. Okay. A little lighter. Okay. All right. Time for the pose I got to do. There we go. So that was Smith machine, Smith machine, Smith machine, followed by cable, cable, cable? Is that only 6 sets for real? I can't remember. Either way, pumped to shit. Let's see how we're looking. So, I've got an extra boost pumped wise, and every time you're bulking up, you will. From being completely fucking full of carbs, and I mean like you got a full belly of food every meal, and you can tell you would like a pre-workout nap after pounding some calories. Dude, when I was doing cardio this morning, even just holding my phone, playing Bloons Tower Defense, I was getting a fucking arm pump. And I go to touch my, like even right now, just the residual pump from this chest day, I can't even reach my fucking shoulders. So, needless to say, though, I'm gonna say it anyway, I'm fucking pumped. So let's just see to what fucking degree. Oh, I can get this big ass shirt off. I'm never gonna fill out this shirt. That's for sure. But I've got all sorts of fucking clothes where it was pretty damn baggy at the time when I started wearing them, and now too tight. So that's just what happens when you go from 160 to fucking 265. Let's get a little extra zoom in here. Yeah, perfect. There we go. Now we're working with something. Oh my goodness. Oh. I can barely do a passable vacuum with a fucking stomach full of food. But this nice little most muscular shot here, this is fucking sweet. Not even really flexing. My pecs are just like skin fucking tight. Oh my goodness. Very nice. Very nice. Let's do a little old school side chest, a couple more, and then get out of here. Maybe scoot forward just a touch. No. Oh my God. Dude. Pumped to shit is almost not even a good enough description. But no, that's the end of it. I can definitely feel a little bit of front delt activation. They definitely got worked. So that's why I never do front delts, because they get a little bit of activation every time I do chest. But this is a fucking chest pump that I'm extremely happy with. And if you're kind of curious of my like sort of mental image of myself right now, yeah, I'm definitely softer. I mean, all my all the Instagram posts that I have are pretty much always me when I'm like diced posing, which just looks extra fucking cool. I mean, like most muscular right here with shoulder veins, everything else, and like tricep striations. Dude, it's cool. I mean, I like it, but I'm not so attached to that look in every given present moment that I have to think to myself, oh my God, oh, I'm so soft, I can't see my ab veins. I was saying this yesterday in the little desk talk. It's like, dude, if you can't take the bulk, then you're never going to get the fucking gains that lie beyond it. So I've got no problem getting a little softer, getting a bit more full in the stomach. I mean, as heavy as I am right now in terms of extra poundage of like muscle and intra everything, carbs and glycogen and whatnot, I've got some pounds of food just in my gullet at all times. So if you're obsessed with having like a pencil thin waist, you got to somehow detach yourself from that idea and say, all right, let's get real. Let's put some food into this system. Let's make some gains. Now that is if you're going to start some kind of bulking phase. And, you know, I'm not going to say no treats, but you got to realize bulking is not to just get as fucking big as possible. Now it is, but not in such a simple manner as that, right? It's to gain as much muscle as possible over that time frame where you're eating in a surplus. And you also have to take into account the fact that with that calorie surplus, if you're eating enough food to really be gaining weight, guess what else is going to happen, man? Right? You're going to get some goddamn fat tissue onto your system. So you basically have to balance two things. It's like you want to eat enough food that you're gaining weight steadily, but you also don't want to eat too much that you start to put on too much fat, because that's going to be a fucking chore to get off your build later on down the line. And if you get too soft in your bulk, you'll have to diet so hard that odds are it's going to interfere with some of the muscle that you just worked so hard to gain, and it's going to fucking shrink down, and then you're back at zero. So when people talk about yo-yo dieting, yeah, it can be done poorly, but a successful bulking phase and dieting phase in perpetuity, or at least for a couple different sort of iterations, should not just be, okay, lean 200 pounds, soft 240, lean 200, soft 240, lean 2. That's not the point. If you're doing it properly, it should look something a little more like, okay, I've gained this many pounds of the bulk. I dieted down. I'm just as lean here as I was in the beginning, but now I have more muscle tissue at the end. And in my mind, after a few years of main gaining, that makes a little bit more sense. Now, it might not be the perfect move for you specifically. So that's where, right, fucking look at your own build. You have to make your own fucking decisions. Just because I like bulking up for, this is going to be like probably damn near 6 months out of the whole year, does not mean that that's the best method for everybody. And it's definitely not the best method for everybody at any given point in time. I really got to emphasize, if you're doing some kind of sport that is not like strength size specific, if you're a linebacker, then you probably love these videos, because I'm like, dude, eat a fucking ton of food, get big and strong. and then you put your pads on and you fucking get into a. I was going to point the camera down and get into like a 3 point, 3 point starter position. But you know, if you're doing something a little bit more, well, actually, I don't know. Oh, if you're like a fucking golfer, just like Mr. Mark, little bro, it's not going to be in his best interest to try to get as big and bulked as possible, especially during the golfing season. I mean, dude, that's going to fuck with your swing. You know, how the hell are you supposed to take a driver damn near 350? Actually, no, I think he can do 350. Dude, the most I've hit a driver is like 200 at Top Golf. But, oh man, just thinking about that now, that's wild. But either way, for somebody like him, he doesn't need to be this kind of bulked up because it's going to interfere with his other goals. So, all I'm trying to say there, look at your own situation, take in all the information that you can, and try to make the best move for what your end goals are. Honestly, that advice is fucking awesome for anybody in any aspect. So, let's get in the car. We're done. Chest complete, topped off with a nice current events discussion with one of the guys at the gym. I tell you what, oh, Jesus, just make an educated decision come this voting season. Chest pumps are not on the ballot, so nothing too insane there, but still, use your best judgment for anybody who's of voting age. But plan now is to go home and fucking pound some kind of food, pound some kind of meal. 90% chance half pound of ground beef and either 2 packs of instant rice or some ramen. And I mean, dude, fucking, how about I look it up? I'll look it up before I eat it, and let's see if I'm really thrashing my insides by eating 2 packs of ramen. But I mean, from my perspective right now, at least, I'm looking at 100 grams of carbs, 28 grams of fats, and a pretty fucking solid amount of electrolytes from the sodium. I mean, it's definitely salty with the packets. But if you drink enough water, dude, don't be afraid of the saltiness, man. The whole process of fucking moving fluids around your entire body is not just how many bottles of Dasani you get down your system, and it's also about how many electrolytes are dissolved into that fucking water, which are going to help with all your fucking bodily processes. And in a lifting context, it's going to help with the pump, it's going to help with your strength, it's going to help with your subjective feeling of just how good you feel. If you're dehydrated, which I'm sure we've all been dehydrated before, guess what? It's no fun. You just feel fucking, you're just off. I mean, come on. You've got the option to not be dehydrated. Food is, water is not so scarce. I'm depending on where you are, I guess, but at least for what I presume to be most of the viewers, you've got access to more water than you could drink in a single day. So don't slack. Don't slack on the fluid intake. But man, this bulk is going very well. Now I don't want to toot my own horn before I get to the end of it, but this is a very nice progression of weight. Now, I have bulked many times at this point. I think maybe 5 or 6 times. Gone through like a bulking, cutting. Maybe, probably 6, maybe 5. I think 6 though. But my logic with the first few, my younger lifter mind came up with the idea, okay, I'm bulking up, I should eat as much food as I can. Let's pick a calorie number and stick to it the whole time. So I don't know how many calories I was eating the first time I bulked up. It was, I think it's probably around 4,000. And, I made some weight gain. I think it went from like 200 to like 230, and then back down to like 215-ish or so when I dieted off and tried to trim some of the fat tissue down. But I did it the same way for I think 4 more times. And the problem that I would run into is, yeah, my appetite was fucking, huge right in the beginning because I just came off of like 2 or 3 months of being in a calorie deficit. Which, if you've ever done a legitimate deficit for longer than a few weeks, you know that your appetite's going to start ramping up. You're going to get fucking hungry. I mean, that's the whole difficulty of dieting and fat loss in general. So what I would do is right after I was done with the dieting phase, floodgates are open. Floodgates are fucking open. I mean, I've had a couple 10,000 calorie days. Now that's not something I can like maintain consistently. I can never do 10,000 calories a day for, oh my god, I don't even know if I could do that for like 3 days straight. But in a refeed context, if I'm dieted and I'm depleted, I've got extra room to spare in a sense. So, my body's kind of in a sense, kind of a starvation mode. So it's saying, okay, anytime you get some food into your system, send that shit to your fucking storage cells immediately. So a little bit easier to eat a crazy amount of food in that context. But what I would do is like floodgates open, start chowing down, pick 5,000 calories every day for indefinite until I can't gain any weight. And what would happen is, oh, sorry. But what would happen would be first 2 months, first 2.5, 3 months, blow up. 40, no, not 40 pounds. Like 30 pounds in like 3 months, like 10 pounds a month straight. And then what would happen is like I was eating so much food, more than was actually necessary to gain any weight. I kind of like totally crashed my whole kind of consumption system. Like I'm sure my gut biome was going wild, my insulin sensitivity was going wild, and then just my overall kind of combination of everything else that made up my appetite. It's like I just couldn't eat anymore. And if you ever run into that situation, you know what that means. It means that the scale is no longer changing upward. You're no longer gaining weight. So even though I've made legitimate gains, I was not bulking as optimally as I could have. Which now I think I'm so sorry. Now I'm thinking I think I'm starting to get the grasp of it. So with a steady ramping up of the calories over the course of months of the bulking phase, steady weight gain has basically become no problem. It's still a chore to get all the food down. Like I'm not saying it's easy, but it's much more consistent for me. And I've got my last bulk to back that up with, as well as the first third of this one. The first month, what I would end up doing is just eat when I'm hungry, but don't go crazy. I'd be dieting at like 2,500, 3,000 some days ish, kind of bouncing around those two numbers. So first month of bulking up, maybe 6 to 3,500 ish, maybe a little heavier, more like 4,000 on occasion, but like it would kind of average out to like 3,500 or so. And do that for a couple weeks, month, gain fucking 10 pounds immediately from just an extra 500, maybe 700 calories above what I was dieting at. So not above maintenance, but just above the deficit that I was in. So I couldn't tell you exactly how many calories of a surplus it was, but nothing major. And then after that, once that becomes pretty easy, right, increase it, 500 calorie jump or so. So last month I was really kind of bouncing around like 4,500 calories or so. Um, yeah, I'd have some big days, but pretty much about 4.5. So now I've been kind of sticking to about 5-ish. 4.5 is probably still within reason, but I would not want to do 4.5, day after day. I feel like that's going to kind of begin to crash me weight-wise, or at least plateau me. So we're getting close to pretty much hitting the 5,000 calorie mark. I think I said I was doing 5 like a month ago or so. I don't know what I was fucking saying. I've got all the numbers tracked and everything. I was doing like 4. So getting to a point where weight is still increasing steadily. I feel full as a house, and I just have to do my best to not let anything interfere with this system of gains for the next 4 months, which I am I'm in a very, very ideal situation to do so. So I can lock it in. If FanDuel was tracking this bulking phase, there would not be a massive payout if you could bet on whether or not I was going to hit 280 or not. Right? It would. That's a lock. That's a lock right there. So if you're considering beginning a winter bulk, I mean the it's still going to be pretty warm for a while, but you got to remember time is running out. It's about to start cooling down. You're about to start wearing longer sleeves. So for anybody who's a little bit more sensitive about some body fat gain, which I don't really believe you should be too sensitive about it, but I mean it's a hard pill to swallow, losing your abs if you've got them, especially if it took you a long time to work for them. But it's going to start cooling down soon. Not a bad time. Not a bad time to start a little surplus, man. Not the worst fucking time to get some calories in your system and try to pack on some contractile tissue so that come next summer, if that's your time frame, people are gonna say, "Whoa, whoa, what happened to Logan, man? I remember he was, he was just a normal dude before, but now he's jacked. Whoa, damn, crazy." Now, for a few of you, that could be a legitimately potential future if all those variables lined up. YouTube shows me a lot of analytics, but it doesn't show me the most common name. Though actually, I bet I could figure it out if I plugged all the subscriber usernames into a. I'm not gonna do that. I don't even know what I'm saying that, but I could. So I think that's the end of it. I think that's all I gotta say. So I'm sorry I've been being so yeah. I'm sorry he's been being so repetitive as of late. You got a full day of eating inbound. I can go over some recipes as well. I've got a couple of bulking tips up my sleeve. I got no reason to keep them to myself. Really, I'm just being a fucking chump for not recording them for you. But keep it in mind, if you got the ringer on and you see the most perfectly cooked steak ever, that'll be a little change of pace. But I think that's all I got, man. Chest done. I'm ready to eat. Let's get out of here. See you tomorrow.